the grandson of the. Very good. Yeah, your grandfather did one of these. When we were standing by the SR-71, somebody asked me, how do they refuel in midair? Well, it wasn't so obvious from the SR-71, but it sure is obvious on the A6 Intruder. This is the fueling probe. That's what the big fueling aircraft sends out its hose, and it clamps onto this. So it is an airplane, because it would fly long missions, it frequently needed to be refueled in midair, and that's how they refueled it. A6 stands for attack. It's an attack aircraft. It wasn't made to go into dogfights. It was made to attack the enemy on the ground. It carries bombs and missiles to attack ground targets primarily. That's the role of the A6 Intruder. Okay. Let's come over here. One last story. Starting from the Intruder desk is located at Bureau SR-71 platform on the overlook. We talked about Top Gun. Remember the airplane that Tom Cruise flew in Top Gun? Yeah. It was the F-14 Tomcat. This is an F-14 Tomcat. And the F-14 Tomcat was the Navy's primary fighter attack aircraft during the much of the Cold War. Today it's been replaced by the F-18 Hornet. But this particular airplane has a very interesting story. The very airplane you see on the museum floor. It was assigned to a carrier air group in the Mediterranean in 1989. And there's a country in North Africa called Libya. You all heard of Libya? Yeah. And at the time, it was ruled by this crazy guy by the name of Muammar Gaddafi. And Muammar Gaddafi said, Libya owns all the waters that I say they own. And if you looked at a map of Libya, you'd see it kind of has a, kind of like a cup-shaped coastline. And the United States and all the rest of the world says, your territorial waters, the waters you own, go 12 miles out from your shoreline. And Gaddafi said, no, no, no. If I draw a line from the top of the cup to the other top of the cup, I own all the water inside. And we said, that's nonsense. So every once in a while, we would fly airplanes over this water or send ships into the water. And on this particular day, this airplane was on board the USS John F. Kennedy. And they said, it's time for us to show the world and to show Muammar Gaddafi that that water that we're talking about is international water and we have perfect right to fly over it. So they took off, this guy and his wingman, and they fly over the water, which was called the Gulf of Sidra. And as they're flying harmlessly along the Gulf of Sidra, the Libyans send up 2 MiG-23s. And the MiG-23s get on the tail of this guy and his wingman. And so this guy who was in charge radios back to the ship, and he says, there's 2 Libyan MiG-23s on our tail. What do we do? And the guys on the ship said, take evasive action. Lose them. So they take evasive action. And they lose them for a short while. And then immediately, the MiG-23s get back on the tail. They said, they're back. What do we do now? And they said, well, take evasive action one more time. And if they persist in staying on your tail in a threatening manner, you are free to engage. So they take evasive action. The MiG-23s come back again. They're on the tail. They get confirmation. Aren't we still free to engage? Absolutely. So they break off. This guy gets behind one of the MiG-23s and he fires a radar-guided missile and it misses. His wingman gets behind the other MiG-23 and fires a heat-seeking missile. And the heat-seeking missile finds the exhaust of the jet, the MiG-23, flies right up the tailpipe, explodes, and the MiG-23 spirals down into the Gulf of Sidra. The pilot ejects, the parachute opens, and the pilot floats down into the Gulf. This guy learns his lesson. He gets back again on the MiG-23. This time, no radar-guided missile. This time, heat-seeking missile. Right down the tailpipe. Boom! Scrub 1, MiG-23. Pilot ejects, parachute opens, the MiG-23 down into the Gulf of Sidra. So if they wanted to, they could paint a Libyan flag right there on the cockpit, because this airplane shot down a MiG-23. Any questions?
Do you have any MiG-23s?
No, just 21s. Yep. You know, I wasn't going to end the story this way, but I'll tell you. So then the Navy sent a reconnaissance airplane, an E-2 Hawkeye. And the E-2 Hawkeye stayed in the area for a while, and for as long as they were there, they never saw the Libyans send any ships out to rescue the pilots. So as far as we know, no. Yeah. Middle one. And this particular airplane was designed by Lockheed to meet the needs of the Marine Corps. They built the F-35 in 3 versions, one for the Air Force, one for the Navy, and one for the Marine Corps. And the toughest one technologically was for the Marines. Because here's what the Marines wanted to do. They said, we want to have, and they call it a VSTOL, very short takeoff, short takeoff, vertical landing. That's what it does. So it takes off like a regular airplane, but off a very short field, and it lands like a helicopter. And the way it lands like a helicopter is through its engine. This is its engine. And what it does is when it gets ready to land, it tilts its exhaust nozzle down, so it's causing a cushion, and it has this huge fan right inside the airplane, and that creates a cushion. So the airplane comes down and it lands on a big air cushion. Yeah, the Marines have declared their version operational. The Air Force is close, and the Navy's is still far away from being operational. But yeah, this is the newest airplane that's going into the U.S. Armed Forces. The UH-1 Huey is actually the UH-1 Iroquois helicopter. And this particular version of it made smoke screen. It's sent smoke out through there and enabled the ground troops to advance where the enemy couldn't really see them. And it fought in Vietnam, this particular airplane did. And when it would come back from missions, frequently it was shot at. And so if you look down there, see all those little patches? Yeah. Yeah, that's where they actually were shot at. And they had holes, and they would use a patch there, patch there, patch over there. It's all patched up, but continued to fly right through the end of the war. Okay, let's see some kamikaze plane. It's a Oka, and how it worked was this: they would take it, and they put a pilot in it, and they bolt the pilot into the cockpit. Really? Yep. And then they would put the plane, this kind of rocket-propelled bomb. That's what it is, a rocket-propelled bomb. They put it underneath a conventional airplane. And then the airplane would fly, and its target was almost always a U.S. Navy task force. And if it got close enough to the Navy task force, they would drop the bomb. The pilot would start the engine. He'd fly it into the target, and boom! From here on in, it's a bomb.
Doesn't kamikaze mean suicide?
Yep.
Doesn't kamikaze mean suicide?
Kamikaze actually means divine wind. But yes.
But yeah, pretty much a suicide bomb.
So they would kill themselves?
I don't get why they would bolt them in. Why not just like unbolt her and let them eject like at the last second?
It was like an honorable thing if you were like killed in battle.
Well, they were afraid they'd do it before they actually targeted it. That's what they did.
That's fine.
According to the Japanese, it was an honorable thing.
Okay.
Is this the real ones or the real?
It's real one. Yeah. Okay, it's the B-29 Super Fortress. So somebody here just a minute ago said, oh, it's a B-29 Flying Fortress. No, it's the Super Fortress.
Gotta be careful there. It was made in Omaha, Nebraska, by the Martin Company under subcontract from Boeing, and it's different from all other B-29s, like the one you're talking about. Because if you look, you said, "Oh, it's got guns all over the place." Well, this doesn't have any guns all over the place. This isn't a gun. This is the radar dome. It's got one gun on it, way in the tail gun. It's the only one. They removed all of the other guns so there'd be less drag, so the plane could be faster, because it had to get out of the area quickly after it dropped the bomb.
I think my great granddad was the one who actually was the one who targeted for the bomb to be dropped.
Well, he may have been. The armor plating has been removed in order to make the plane faster, so it could get out of the area quickly. And they made a huge bomb bay for this kind of airplane, so it could carry the really large weapon that it was designed to carry. Sometime early in August 1945, the commander of the squadron, the 509th Composite Group, asked a member of the ground crew to paint that name on the nose. Enola Gay. Who knows who Enola Gay was?
Wasn't it his the dude's grandmother or his mother? Or
Close, yes. Pretty good. It was the commander's mother. The commander was Colonel Paul Tibbets, and Enola Gay Tibbets was his mother. That's who the airplane is named after. So early in the morning of August 6th, 1945, 3 aircraft from the 509th Composite Group take off from the island of Tinian in the Marianas Group, and they fly to the 3 targets that were designated for an atomic bomb. Several hours later, Colonel Tibbets in this airplane takes off, and he gets the weather report, because in order to drop the weapon, they had to be able to visually sight the target drop point. And he gets the weather report. Primary target clear. So Colonel Tibbets flies to the primary target. Who knows what the primary target on August 6, 1945 was? Who?
The headquarters?
The city.
Okay, I don't know. It was Nagasaki. It was Hiroshima.
Yes, say no more. Stop when you're ahead. You got it. It was Hiroshima. So he flies to Hiroshima. He sights the target drop point. He turns control of the aircraft over to the bombardier. Bombardier sits right up there. See that black object? That's a Norden bomb sight. So he sights the target, and with the Norden bomb sight, you can also steer the airplane. So he steers the airplane right over the target drop point. He's at 35,000 feet. He releases the weapon, and the weapon detonates at 1,900 feet. An air burst is more effective for a nuclear weapon than a ground burst. Colonel Tibbets banks the aircraft sharply, and he returns to Tinian. The city of Hiroshima is wiped from the face of the earth. We wait. August 6th, nothing from the Japanese. August 7th, nothing. August 8th, nothing. August 9th, they authorized the second raid. And so a similarly configured aircraft, this one's called Boxcar, B-O-C-K-S-C-A-R. It's on display at the Air Force Museum in Dayton, Ohio. Under the command of Major Charles Sweeney, is designated as the weapons carrier. So early on the morning of August 9th, 1945, 2 airplanes from the 509th take off to give the weather reports. Several hours later, Sweeney and Boxcar take off. At the midway point, he gets the weather report. Target partially occluded by clouds. Sweeney flies to the primary target. What was the primary target on August 9th?
Nagasaki.
No.
Hiroshima.
No, this is something that very few people know. But when he gets to the primary target, it's a city you've never heard of, the city of Kokura. He gets over the city of Kokura, and the clouds have thickened. He can't see anything. He makes a big sweeping pass, and he asks his flight engineer, "How much fuel do we have?" And he says, "You need to make a decision quick. It's a long way home." So he makes one more pass, and the clouds won't break. So they only had 3 targets. One is already destroyed. One they can't see. So how many targets are left?
2.
1.
That's
And he
Nagasaki.
decides to fly to that, and it was Nagasaki. As he's flying to Nagasaki, the cloud cover is so thick he has to navigate using radar. That's the radar. He gets to the city of Nagasaki, he looks down, he asks his flight engineer,